Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to the seminar on Islamic literature, more specifically Islamic literature in form of an anime entitled The Journey. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Luthfan Ramanda Mashuri Ibrahim, and I will be the moderator in this online seminar. Here we have two speakers who are experts on language and literature. The first speaker is Mr. Ilham Maulana Zahreza. He graduated from UIN Sunan Ampel Surabaya in 2019, and now he is continuing his education at University of Toronto on Department of Linguistics. He can speak three languages: native Indonesian, advanced English, and mediocre Japanese. He has some computer skills, that is text processor, slide presentation, and DaVinci Resolve. And he has experience as a volunteer in verbal food in a corporate participation in collections to distribute in low income school. And then the second speaker is Mr. Muhamad Wildan Yamani. He graduated from Chulalongkorn University, Bachelor of Art in Language and Culture in 2019. He is now working on Nando Art Center company and has position as cultural program coordinator from June 2019 and still ongoing. He has some experience like design and implemented a variety of cultural programs and even promoting language and cultural diversity. And then he also collaborated with all local artists, performers, and cultural organizations to curate exhibitions, performance, workshop, and lecture. He also organized language classes and workshops to foster cross-cultural understanding and promote language learning. These are some of the achievements of the second speaker. He implemented a monthly lecture series on global lecture and their cultural significance, which received positive feedback from attendance and internet media coverage. He developed partnership with local schools, facilitating cultural exchange program and workshop to engage students in art and language education. He also launched a community outreach initiative that provide free art workshop and performance to underprivileged neighborhood, promoting inclusivity and access to cultural activities. Here are some skills of the second speaker. Excellent communication and interpersonal skill for building partnership and working with diverse stakeholders. And then proficiency in social media management and content creator to engage audience and promote event. Then he also have a knowledge of various art forms, cultural practices, and global language. And then maybe the introduction ends here. We will go into the main material. Speaker 1, you may start the material. You have about 7 minutes. The first speaker, time is yours.
So yeah, before that, thank you so much for having me. So I'm about to explain a lot of things about this anime, the Journey anime. The Journey anime tells us a lot about a historical story where the leader of the elephant troop called Abraha wanted to control all the city in Arabia, including the Mecca, one of the biggest trading centers. Not only that, Abraha wanted to destroy the Kaabah and eradicate all the faith of the inhabitants of Mecca so that they could become his slave. Hearing this, the current leader of the Mecca, Sir Abdul Muttalib, was losing 200 camels. So after that, he went personally to the leader of the Abraha. But after meeting Abraha, he was even evasive because he was not the one who ordered his troop to steal Abdul Muttalib's camel, but it was their initiative to steal the camel. Yeah. In his anger, Abraha immediately executed his troop who stole the camel in front of Sir Abdul Muttalib. But he stated that he taking of the camels was not to discourage him from attacking Mecca. However, Mr. Abdul Muttalib said that he was not responsible for the city of Mecca and the Kaaba, but God's possession were God's own responsibility. And there is someone who dares to challenge God and destroy the Kaaba, then he prepares to receive the wrath of the God. He is the Abraha. He also wanted to prove that the God they believe in would be defeated and he would destroy the Kaaba, so that all the residents would submit and become his slaves. Pak Abdul Muttalib, who had negotiated and he is the active leader of the Mecca, returned home because Abraha was still going to attack Mecca. Then, in the other hand, Musab, who as the commander in the front line of the Mecca, heard the news that announced in the middle of the city of the Mecca for those who wanted to fight Abraha's troops. These people can join him for free, willingly. Musa also provides all weapons for free of charge of those who want to fight him. Even here, one of our friends called Ilham joined in protecting the city of Mecca. But in the middle of the population of Mecca who were ready to fight, Sir Abdul Muttalib as the leader of the Mecca said to avoid fighting because they seeing all his troops and they are dangerous. Abraha's troops are bloodlust, they are bloodthirsty. They also have only two choices, namely to leave the city of Mecca or become Abraha's slaves. The population of this choice was also very difficult for the Mecca peoples. However, the fighting spirit of all the warriors of the city of the Mecca However, the fighting spirit of all the warriors of Mecca increased when they heard this because they were not willing to hand over the city to someone who did not deserve it. One of them is Awas, the adopted son of Zubair. He has also returned home to tell his family that he would join the war against Abraha. But here's his wife and family try to forbid him. But they were saying it, sinners who will not be forgiven by the God. It seems that there is no other way but to sacrifice the fight in protecting the holy city of Kaaba. He is also said that he was very despicable when he came to the city of Mecca, and now he is very accommodated and married off to have a family like he is currently having. He was initially very grateful for his life, but now protecting the city is like the obligation for sinners like him, because the sins he has committed in the past are too great. His family and his wife melted after hearing his word, but his wife asked for help. If he is on the battlefield, he also has to be very careful by not to die at that battlefield. The content of his prayer as a sign of himself are brave troops who are willing to leave everything to protect the Kaaba. Even here, all the inhabitants of the city of Mecca began to take refuge and flee, leaving the Kaaba to avoid fighting with Pak Abdul Muttalib to the Al-Huda mountains. However, the warrior of the city of Mecca gathered their troops led by the first commander, as I mentioned before, the Musab, and the other commander called Nizar. Awas also joined under the leadership of Nizar with his best friend, Isam. But in the middle of the army, there were some hypocrites who made matter worse. The hypocrites like to provoke the condition to bring the heat. They also make noise to Zurarah, namely as the one of the mercenaries who have no faith. But here Awas, who saw his old friend participating in this battle, was very surprised. Zurarah also told Awas that he is not good as himself. He is just a sinner who doesn't believe in anyone, and he only fight just for food. And he only said if he wanted to live by faith alone would not make his stomach full. All the soldiers who saw them were shocked because they knew a sinners like him. Then Awas told his story that he used to be a sinner too, but he didn't want to be like that. When he was small, Awas and his family left for Mecca with their parents, full of faith. But in the middle of the way, they were robbed, and Awas' parents got killed. Awas proceeded to forcefully join the bandits, and the bandits put a mark on Awas' arm as a sign or a sign of a sinner. Besides, they even already in the hands of the bandits. Even though their bodies were small, they had been trained to use the sword, were forced to rob even the middle of the city. And cruelty made the two small children try to escape from the bandits. Zurara and Awas tries to escape from their place. However, Zurara was hit by an arrow and left behind. Zurara volunteered himself to detain the bandits so that they could be safe. But Commander Musab said that was the past, and Awas is becoming a good man now. From Zubair adoptive parent, Awas asked Zurara to avoid the war so he could defend the Kaabah. But Zurara refused, and then Awas and Zurara start fighting in the middle of the Meccan army. They were strong, and with the ability Zurara alertness began to believe and join the war on the condition that after they give him a big meal in return. That's it from me. Moderator?
Thank you, Mr. Ilham, as the first speaker. Then the next material can be continued by the second speaker. Mr. Yamani, as the second speaker, you have about 7 minutes. The time is yours.
Okay, thank you for the time, and then I will continue the explanation about enemy journey. At that time, Abraha's army with his elephant troops began to approach. Then the inhabitants of Mecca began to tremble because they were outnumbered by Abraha's troops. The hypocrites started to provoke them to retreat, and the troops start to hesitate to fight. And some the hypocrites went and hid behind the hill. But Awas with his best friend Hisam and Commander Mus'ab encouraged them that God is always with them to protect the holy city of Kaaba. The troops start to cheer up again, and Nizar with Awas and Zurara went to meet Abraham. As their representative, Nizar asked to hold an wrestling of the strongest troops, and in exchange, if they win, then Abraha's troops must return. Abraha's strongest troops descended to fight Nizar. Awas and Zurara, even though they lost badly, their agility was able to paralyze and overthrow Abraha's strongest troops. They also won in this struggle and made their troops more enthusiastic. But Abraham broke their agreement and started to attacking the Meccan army with their elephant troop. Commander Mus'ab starts ordering all the troops to come forward to fight. Awas and Zurara strode along to the best of his ability. He saw elephant troops have enormous powers in paralyzing their troops. Awas and Zurara plotted a strategy to overthrow one of Abraha's elephant troops with great agility. Awas and Zurara managed to overthrow one of Abraha's elephant, but Commander Mus'ab ordered them to retreat because only the two of them had fighting strength, while the hypocrites only looked behind the hill and insulted their strength. They also only underestimate the Meccan army. But after they all managed to retreat, Awas and Commander Musab devised a strategy so they could win. They had to focus on the biggest elephant that Abrahas was riding and cut off his head immediately. Because if their leader loses, then all troops will retreat. Awas began to be at the forefront as the leader of the troops, followed by Zurara would protect him, while the other troops began to fight against the enemy troops. But it turned out that they were starting to be outnumbered, and the troops led by Mus'ab lost strength and began to lose to Abraha's troops. While Awas, who faced Abraha directly, he too was not comparable to Abraha's strength. Even his sword was broke during a fight with Abraha. Here too, all the Meccan troops were defeated and tortured by Abraha troops. The Abraha asked Allah if he gave up his faith and submitted as his slave, the Abraha would forgive them all. But Awas, who is the determinant that God will always protect him, he did not want to give up. He even continued to fight against Abraha, even though he had been held captive. Abraha began to torture them one by one by stepping on their backs with his army of elephants. AKA, he couldn't move and couldn't do anything to help his friend. Awas and the people of Mecca can only pray and ask God for help for the operation that Abraham did them. When the white elephant was about to torture Awas, he said that Awas would never give up and would always believe in God, even though he was being tortured by Abraha. Abraha's biggest elephant began to lift his feet and was about to step on alert. But suddenly, a very large group of swallows circles them, and the elephant avoiding his feet from Awas. Then all the elephant backed off and did not hear Abraha's order. All the elephant lined up and knelt right facing the Kaaba. All of Abraha's troops were frightened by the miracle that happened. Even Abraha's advisor asked Abraha to step down before it was too late. Then the swallow troops increased in number and showered them with stone, which resulted in all of Abraha's troops being killed. Even his advisors could not stand up. Abraham, who does not admit that this is not help from God, he kept shouting for Awas and was going to kill him. Meanwhile, Awas was rescued by other friends to withdraw from the battlefield. While the hypocrites hiding behind the hill and starting to be in the danger because the birds are starting to tear down the cliff. The cliff that was above suddenly collapsed by the strength of the many birds, and the cliff immediately fell on Abraha and buried him alive. Awas, who was tired and helpless, tried to walk on the rubble of the rocks from the hill, and when he saw behind the rubble, he saw a mess by God's help, because all of Abraha's rope and the elephant died helplessly. Then the birds began to fly toward the hill. Al-Huda gave news of victory to the inhabitants of Mecca, Abdul Muttalib. Abdul Muttalib also believed that a new era of truth has just begun. He ordered all the inhabitants of Mecca to return to their place of origin, And on the other hand, Awas and the remaining troops are very happy for this victory. Then the rain began to fall, wetting and washing away the bloodshed on their bodies. Awas also said that we must tell this miracle to our descendants and future successors. That's all from me. Thank you.
So now we will kind of go in the question and answer session. For our audience, it is allowed to ask the speakers. Excuse me, sir. So, what the lesson can be learned from the unity and resilience of the people of Makkah?
Okay, thank you for the question and I will answer it. The story highlights the power of unity and community resilience. Despite their differences, the people of Mecca set aside personal disputes and came together to defend their city and the sacred Kaaba. Their unity played a crucial role in their victory and serves as a reminder of the strength derived from standing together in adversity.
I have a question, sir. So, how does the story emphasize the concept of divine protection? Thank you.
Okay, answer for the second question is the story showcases divine intervention and protection. The swallows or ababil dropping stones on the invading army and the uncontrollable elephants are seen as acts of God's intervention, demonstrating that God can safeguard his believers in times of need.
Sir, I have a question. So, why is the story historically significant in Islamic tradition?
Okay, an answer for the last question is the story holds historical significance in Islamic tradition. It reinforces the belief in the protection and sanctity of the Kaaba as the holiest site in Islam. Additionally, it provides a historical context for the birth of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, who would go on to establish Islam as a major world religion. The story reminds Muslims of their historical roots and the lessons that can be derived from them. Okay, that's for all answer.
Thanks to the two speakers for the material at this online seminar. So, there are several moral messages that can be derived from the Journey movie. The Journey movie highlights the belief in divine intervention and protection. It teaches us that when faced with adversity, we should put our trust in higher power and have faith that God can provide solution and protect us. The story emphasizes the significance of respecting and honoring sacred place. The Kaaba, being a holy site, was protected from the malicious intention of those who sought to destroy. This teaches us the importance of treating sacred space with reverence and preserving their sanctity. The journey also demonstrates the power of unity and cooperation. Despite the elephants' strength and the size of the invading army, they were defeated by the collective forces of nature and the birds. This conveys the message that unity among people working together for a common cause can overcome when the most formidable challenges. This story reminds us to be humble and grateful for the blessing we have. The powerful army with its elephant was humbled by a seemingly insignificant force of birds carrying small stones that serve a reminder that we should not underestimate the value of small things and should express gratitude for the blessings, regardless of their size. The Journey movie also showcased the preservation of faith in the face of adversity. The people of Mecca, despite the imminent threat, continued to believe in the protection of their sacred place and power of their faith. It teaches us to hold on to our beliefs and remain steadfast even during challenging times. Overall, the story of the Journey movie carries moral lesson of divine protection, respect, unity, humility, gratitude, and the preservation of faith. And then it turns out that the seminar on Islamic literature, The Journey, is about to end. I apologize if there are any wrong words spoken by me. Thank you. Have a nice day. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.